This is part 18 of the Swan Princess read-along. Derek ran to the stable and mounted his horse. "If you hurry, little prince," Rothbart called from the castle door, "I'll let you see her one last time." But Derek was not listening. "Odette! Odette!" he cried once more, urging his horse to a sudden gallop. The sharp wind tore against him as he rode against the castle lawn. The horse sped across the forest, its feet barely touching the ground. The trees loomed against Derek, black and dense. Through eyes sheltered across the blinding gale, he maneuvered his horse around them. All at once he shouted the name of his beloved. Not once did she answer. Not once did the swan appear overhead. Deep in the woods, the trees seemed to crowd in. The horse faltered. She began to buck and shy, whinnying in fear. Derek drew his sword and dismounted, alone, on foot. He bushwhacked through the undergrowth. She sped in fast. Now Robert's voice was floating in the air. He was like an evil spirit. "No!" Derek shouted, slashing right and left. Inside the water dungeon, Bromley clung to the small ledge, whimpering. He had heard the voice too. Rothbart was getting closer. The last place he wanted to be was in the stinking tower. Slowly he released his fingers from the rock and dove into the water. Outside, John Bob, Puffin and Speed stood near the lake looking upward. "Something's gone wrong," Puffin said. "There she is!" John Bob shouted, barely clearing the treetops. Odette flew toward them. Her wings flapped slowly and her body hung limp. "I don't think she's gonna make it," Speed remarked. "This way, Odette," Puffin shouted. "Just a little further." John Bob and Speed joined in on the shouting. Odette perked her head up a little bit. She tried to slow herself down, but level out. She was plunging heavily. She glided over their heads and crashed into the stone floor by the lake. The animals gathered around her motionless body. "Is she still alive?" asked Speed. "I don't know," Puffin replied. John Bob leaned over her. "Please, Odette, don't die." Her dull white form began to change. It started from a flicker of light that seemed to come from within. The light radiated, growing from a bright wash of red and white and orange and blue. John Bob, Speed, and Puffin backed off and watched. When the light receded, the swarm was gone. Now Odette, the princess, was lying on the stone. At the edge of the woods, Derek emerged from the thick darkness. He stopped for a moment, panting, hardly able to stand. The animals looked at them. None of them was able to say a word. Derek glanced around, his eyes locked on Odette. With new strength, he sprinted to her side and dropped to his knees. "Odette," he said, lifting her head into his chest. "What have I done to you? Forgive me, Odette. Forgive me." Hearing his voice, Odette stirred. She struggled to open her eyes. "Derek?" Her voice was almost lost to the wind. Derek looked into her face with hope, trying to catch her gaze. "I feel so weak," Odette murmured. "I think—" "No, you'll live, Odette." Derek stroked her hair tenderly, supporting her with strong arms. "It's you I love. It's you." The bow I made was for you. Derek sat down gently. He stood up and raised his despairing eyes to the heaven, to whoever Rothbart might be. The bow I made was for her. Do you hear? The bow I made was for her. From behind him came a soft, grating voice. No need to shout. Derek snapped around to face Rothbart. Don't let her die, Rothbart smiled. Is that a threat? Derek stepped forward and grabbed the enchanter by his cloak. Don't you dare let her die, he hissed. Ooh, it is a threat, Rothbart replied. You're the only one with the power now. Do it! Rothbart laughed. Only if you defeat me. A wave of his arm sent a blaze of light into the night air. It wrapped around Rothbart, pulsing and brightening. A blind flash made Derek reel backwards. When he looked up, Rothbart was a towering, snarling beast. The great animal, Derek said. The creature bellowed so loud the trees seemed to bend. Cowering behind a rock, John Bob said to Speed and Puffin, I'm betting on the animal. I won't let her die, Derek shouted. He picked up his sword and ran into the beast. Rag! Thundered the great animal. If plucking a small lead, the great animal lifted Derek off the ground, then tossed him down to the stone stairs that led to the lake. Derek's sword flew out of his hand. He landed in shallow water. Before he could stand, the great animal attacked again. Derek struggled to his feet. He clamped his hands around the creature's face and tried to squeeze. With its massive beak, the great animal tore to Derek's shoulder. Oh, Dad! Derek yelled, falling to the ground. The great animal thrust itself to the air, then landed on Derek, grabbing him in his talons. Behind the rock, Puffin suddenly shouted to his cohorts, The bow! Swim to the bottom of the lake and get the bow! Puffin grabbed Speed and hurled him into the lake. John Bob dove back, jumped in after him. Above them soared a great animal with Derek in its clutches. Crying out in triumph, it flung Derek into a sturdy pine tree with a sickening thump. Derek smacked against it. Home to the forest floor. He tried to stand, grimacing in pain. He fell unconscious. At the bottom of the lake, John Bob saw the bow struck in a tangle of leaves. He pulled frantically, but it wouldn't move. In an instant, Speed was by his side. Together they yanked once, twice. The bow jerked upward out of the muck. Speed took it and swam to the water's safe surface. John Bob was still holding on to the bow, was dragging along with him. As their faces broke the surface, they looked for Derek. He lay limp on the ground. The great animal circled around him, ready to descend for the kill.